Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Ross Johnston. In NFL news, there were a few key players across the league today who did not practice. Buccaneers running back Bucky Irving, wide receiver Chris Godwin, Bills running back James Cook, and Patriots wide receiver Kayshon Boutte, plus running back Ramondre Stevenson. The Panthers are hosting free agent cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. on a visit today. Samuel just got cleared to play after receiving a spinal fusion in the offseason and is the top corner available on the market. Commanders linebacker Frankie Louvu was suspended one game for a hip drop tackle against Seattle, but had that overturned via appeal, which will make him eligible to play this weekend. He will instead have to pay a $100,000 fine. And lastly, since there isn't much news today, my Duke Blue Devils opened up their season last night with a win over the Texas Longhorns, 75-60. Sophomore guard Isaiah Evans had 23 points and hit 4 threes on the night, while freshman forward Cameron Boozer put up a double-double in his debut with 15 points and 13 boards. For all your foundation repair, waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door and broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Kentucky Sports and Kentucky Downs. Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. There we go. Nailed it. Joseph Bonanno filling in, producer of 3HL, filling in for Blaine, who is still out on vacation. Okay. Opened up the press conference. Mike Borgonzi from Boston. We need to teach you how to do that drop. So Mike Borgonzi.
Hey, there you go, Ross.
There it goes. Starts out the press conference saying that, hey, results aren't good enough. We realize that, and we realize we have to earn back the trust of this fan base. And I have to say, I've always liked Mike Borgonzi ever since we did that one-on-one interview at the Senior Bowl, just me and him. You can go to the 104.5 The Zone YouTube page and look for that. I've always liked Mike Borgonzi. And listen, I've been very critical ever since the trade of Jarvis Brownlee Jr., which we'll talk about. That my mind still has not changed about that, but at least I can understand where he is coming from about a lack of identity, a lack of vision, a lack of clarity, a lack of messaging. And it's mainly been because other people have been involved when it really just needs to be Mike Borgonzi. And so the question I'm posing to the fans today, did today's press conference by Mike Borgonzi, even if it's just a little smidge, earn back some trust from you? Do you trust this general manager a little bit more? Do you trust this team a little bit more to get the roster right, the head coaching hire right? Do you trust them? Just even if it's a little bit. And if you still don't trust them, we still want to hear from you. 615-737-1045 is the number. Joseph, I'll ask you first that same question. Do you feel like maybe Mike Borgonzi earned a little bit more trust from you?
110%. This was the first time that I have watched a Tennessee Titans press conference from the front office, and I felt that there was a clear vision. I felt that there were clear explanations from their decision-making. Whether I agreed with the decisions or not, I felt like we got an answer that we were looking for. And regarding with the Jarvis Brownlee trade, the Roger McCreary trade, the Draymond Jones trade. And I really feel like Mike Borgonzi has the path in mind he wants to take for the Tennessee Titans. And you know what he sounded like? He sounded like a guy that has come from a winning organization, which is true. He has. He came over from the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the first time where I felt like it's come across very clearly, and it made me feel so much better about not only the current draft class that is producing right now, the rookies, but what they're going to be able to do in these future draft classes.
Yeah, I think that we've heard the draft develop retain, and sometimes it's been thrown back into his face. And listen, I'm one of the ones that have done it. But at least he's sticking to that. Because how often have we heard a message and then that message change because things went negative or things went awry or things didn't go that way? They start shifting and changing what the messaging is, what the vision is. He's like, no, I understand I have to earn back that trust. My actions will earn that back. I get it. But this is what we're doing. And I left that press conference and we, 7:30 a.m. I'm sending to you and Ross what we're talking about because I had a feeling that this was going to be how this went down. For whatever reason yesterday, just kind of all clicked. When there wasn't a lot of trade deadline action that everybody else overreacted to and all this stuff. And then I'm thinking I'm driving home with Mike, with no Tavondre Sweat trade, with no Calvin Ridley trade, no Tony Pollard trade. Like none of those trades happened, right? None of them materialized. And then I realized that Mike Borgonzi speaking at 10 a.m. with no Chad Brinker. I was like, okay, we've officially entered into, we know this is the Mike Borgonzi era. And he pretty much said that in the press conference. Like, I've had conversations with Chad, and Chad's there to support me, and Chad really does the capology stuff. He's not really on this stuff. I've been empowered. Like, we got the clarity that we needed in the power structure. We got the clarity we needed in how they're going to build out this roster, what they're looking for. It's really easy to say, well, we're looking for guys that embody the Titans way. Well, we don't really know what that is because this team doesn't have a tangible identity on the field. But I look at this and I go, hey, I get it. I may not agree with it because, even Howie Roseman has people that disagree with the decisions that he makes.
Everybody does.
Right. No GM is going to bat 1,000 with 100% of his fan base. But at least you can understand it. And I think that's been the biggest issue with this Tennessee Titans team for a while now, dating all the way back to John Robinson, is that the answers and explanations didn't really make a lot of sense. Why don't we have analytics? I am the analytics department, John Robinson says, who could barely work a calculator. Like, it makes no sense. And, we're going to be efficient and explosive. And we're efficient one year for an offense. We're explosive the next, and we're neither either year. That, to me, tells you a lot. And listen, I think there's a lot of stuff that you could say maybe about Jarvis Brownlee Jr. and what they're looking for in a player and kind of point to Brian Callahan and say, okay, maybe that's why he got fired. Because we're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about accountability and everything. Ross, has he earned back any trust?
He certainly has, and I don't really have much to add to what y'all say because I thought y'all framed it very well, but all I want to say is when there's a moment where a front office person has to speak for our football team, I want it to be Mike Borgonzi. I don't want to hear from Chad Brinker. I don't want to hear from Burke Nihill. I don't really even care to hear about Amy or from Amy. I want to hear from Mike Borgonzi. Like, that's who I want to speak on behalf of the football team in those situations. I thought he did a great job in the press conference. He got me very excited about the rookie class who, we've seen him play for half of a season now, so, was already fairly excited, but just him talking about them and them being fitting the mold of who he wants to be, Tennessee Titans was very encouraging as a fan. So I thought he did a great job, and it was very refreshing to hear him speak on his own.
Yeah, him coming out and saying that he is the guy building the roster. He was brought here to be the roster constructor and to put it together, whether that's through the draft or free agency. Made me feel confident, not only because I've seen what his first draft class is doing, and even he pointed that out. He goes, listen, I'm not just saying that they're good because I'm the one that picked them, but look how they're actually being productive on the field in every single game. And it's not just because they have to. It's just because they earned it and they're working towards it. I really like that kind of clarity from the structure in that front office because there were so many questions going into this year of, okay, well, who's doing this? Who's doing that? What are you doing? Why are you here? And him coming down for the first time and speaking, I believe, is this the first time he's spoken by himself in a press conference situation?
No, I know he did the Senior Bowl, and they were separate. I think it was like head coach, and then at the combine, it's like head coach then GM. Like those, it's been very few. But as far as what's been done at the Tennessee Titans facility, probably the first because that Titans training camp leading into that, it was him and Brinker.
And I feel like him being able to get out there and sit at that podium alone and speak from the GM position, the person building this roster. I think we learned not only more about him, more about his vision for this team, but more about what this team can become with him in charge.
Yeah, just a couple responses to stuff you both said, because you said you didn't really want to hear from Amy. I'm kind of with you. I understand why media does it and fans
yes,
do.
I understand why
but I
do.
personally just don't care. That was brought up. So I watched the press conference on YouTube on my TV. So I also have the chat turned on so I can see what people are saying. And there is a guy that is a frequent flyer in this show's chat and in the Football and Other F Words chat, Nick Ewing, who just kept talking about, like, when are we going to hear Amy Adams-Strunk speak? And I'm like, well, what is she going to provide that you're not getting from this?
She's not building the roster.
Right.
It has been a very common ideology that she lets her football people do the football things, and she is just there to own the team. Like, she's not going to be a Jerry Jones. She's not going to be a Woody Johnson in New York.
Nor should we want her to be, by the way.
Exactly. You don't want an owner that's going to sit there and meddle in every single decision, because what have the Cowboys done? What have the Jets done? You don't want to be those teams at all.
Right.
You want to be a winning franchise. And so look at teams like the Philadelphia Eagles. You don't hear much from their owner. Look at teams like the Kansas City Chiefs. You don't hear anything from their owner until they win a Super Bowl. That's when you should hear from your owner, when you win stuff.
Yeah.
So far, the Titans haven't won anything.
And to your point, Joseph, about the messaging and all that kind of stuff that we got to hear, I will, just funny story, my wife's listening while we're watching. She's in the cleaning up and stuff, and I got the thing on the TV in the living room, and she just hears the same thing that Harold Hockett in the F&M Bank chat, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live said is, all I heard was and it was driving her nuts. Every was like another knife to the heart before her. And I was like, listen, these guys aren't trained public speakers. They're typically scouts. And then they have to go through all this. And listen, he hasn't really had a lot of opportunity to speak solo, to be honest with you.
I know she would hate listening to Cam Ward's press conferences because every answer is, that's kind of funny. It kind of runs there.
But there were a couple things that was gonna bring up about Mike Borgonzi today in my show notes and stuff like that he gave away for free. So I'm a little peeved at Mike Borgonzi for kind of giving away some stuff I was going to bring up that he used to support. Now, it's good that we have maybe audio clips to support what I was going to say. I'm a little mad. I was like, man, you just gave that away to the masses for free. We'll talk about that coming up next. We also want your reaction to Mike Borgonzi. Has he earned back your trust? 615-737-1045 is the number. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Smashville hockey. Around here, it can sound like a language of its own. But hey, if you can pronounce Demumbrian, then names like Yossi, Shea, and Marchessault will roll right off the tongue. Nashville Predators, only in Smashville.
One of the largest sports books east of the Mississippi, Circa Sports Kentucky, is now open. Catch all your favorite games on an 80-foot screen with stadium-style seating and live VSiN broadcast daily. Circa Sports, now open at the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
My dad and I used to golf together all the time, but when he hurt his back, it was over.
To have your son want to spend time with you is amazing. That's why my chronic back pain has been so heartbreaking. Surgery, fused bones, long recovery. No way, not for me. A friend recommended stem cells, so I gave Kellum Stem Cell Institute a call.
I'm glad you're out on the course.
Yeah, it's really good.
Call the Kellum Stem Cell Institute today. Swing still looks just okay, though.
Hey dads, want an epic night with your kids? Head to Nissan Stadium for the Nashville All-Pro Dad Experience. On November 7th from 6 to 8:30 p.m., you'll make memories with your family as you run on the field and enjoy bonding activities. Expect fun, laughs, and fatherhood tips from Tennessee Titans long snapper Morgan Cox to help you be a better dad. All for less than a trip through the drive-thru. Just $35 gets you an unforgettable time with your kids. Register today at allprodad.com/events. The Nashville All-Pro Dad Experience is brought to you by Amazon, Arby's Foundation, Coca-Cola Consolidated, Colgate Bright Smiles Bright Futures, and Pinnacle Financial Partners.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. Got Joseph filling in for Blaine, who's out on vacation. And so we're asking, are you buying what Mike Borgonzi is selling? Has he earned the trust back?
They said Blaine was looking pale today.
They did say Blaine was looking pale today. Has Mike Borgonzi earned the trust back, even if it's just a small bit? Or are you still out on this whole Titans renovation, I guess you could say, demolition, exorcism, whatever you want to call it? We got some replies on Twitter. Mike Titan says, I'm buying. He's already shown what he can do in one draft class without a full season of scouting on the team. And he's already getting more ammo to move around the board in 2026. I'm excited to see what Borgonzi does. Atlas615 on Twitter says, Mike Borgonzi gave the most professional and transparent presser in the history of the Titans. Absolutely. I'd have to say that's probably right. Like, I mean, maybe the Mike Munchak presser where he just looks like, what the heck have I gotten myself into by being hired in the middle of February after everybody else has been fired? But it's like, maybe it is. At least of the Amy Adams Strunk era, the most transparent, informative, clear messaging we have gotten from anybody in that position.
Yeah, that's what makes me confident in Borgonzi is how concise and how clear he made what they want to do. And, you know, you said that over there.
Oh.
And showing us exactly how he wants to build this team. I really liked the commitment to the youth movement. And obviously, yes, having your rookie class, your first draft class, pan out the way it has so far makes that commitment to the youth movement look even better. It does. Would we be saying this if, Chim Dike and Elagayo Manor looked like they should as 4th-round picks? Probably not. Would we be saying this if they didn't draft Cam and maybe went after Abdul Carter one, or maybe traded back and didn't go after a quarterback there in the first round? Probably not. But the fact that they are out there producing at a high level makes me a lot more confident in the message that he put out there earlier today.
We also there's really only one rookie we haven't seen, and that's Jackson Slater. Now, could we at some point? I think so, depending on how the rest of the season goes. But even Marcus Harris, I thought, showed some flashes against the Chargers, and Femi, right before he got hurt, started showing a little bit of something. He was cooking with something and then got hurt.
Let's not buy too much into that one little flash in the pan.
I'm not saying to buy too much into it. I'm just saying we've seen something out of these guys so far. So that is promising to a degree.
We've seen more out of this draft class immediately than we have probably any draft class since the 2019 draft class, because you would have Amani Hooker showing signs, Nate Davis showing signs, AJ, and Jeffrey Simmons. So I would say that since then, this would have been the most impactful draft class that we've had in a positive manner, because we've had a lot of draft classes in between now and then have impacted this team in a negative manner. So this is the most impactful in a positive manner. Someone says Eric Reed in the F&M Bank chat, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live says, more ammo, referencing the tweet I read earlier, is barely true. The Titans only gained one additional draft pick so far. I would challenge that by saying, I agree. In quantity, they didn't gain a lot. But in quality, as far as moving up spots, that is a good thing, and that should be considered as additional ammo, because that helps you trade maybe up and move around the draft board.
The fact that they have a chance to get a 4th-round pick from Draymond Jones on a 1-year deal, that is a win.
Yeah. Even if it's a 5th,
even if it is a 5th, but the fact that they have a chance to get a 4th out of that is a win. Now, Roger McCreary, again, expiring deal. You got what you could for him, because if you don't trade him and he plays the rest of the year and you let him walk, well, then you would have gotten nothing. You know what I mean? So the one you can question is the Jarvis Brownlee Jr. value. A guy very early into his rookie year who seemed to be a good player, and you only get what was that? What did that end up being? That was a 5th round pick, and they swapped a 6th for it. Correct. Yeah. So, if you want to question that one, go ahead. Borgonzi spoke today on why they felt that they had to trade Brownlee, and it felt like it had to do more with culture than it had to do with anything else, which agree with that, if you will, but if that's how they felt, that's how they felt. So the fact that you got anything out of Roger McCreary and Draymond Jones is a win, and you should not be looking down on that because they only made the 2 trades.
Ian McCabe on Twitter says, nailed his first draft class to free agency, was underwhelming, but so far so good. The next cycle of drafting free agency is going to be interesting to see what he does, knowing we have us a good young quarterback. John Feely on Twitter says, I never doubted Borgonzi. I'll forever be more worried about Amy, Burke, Brinker trio. The AB trio is what we'll call them. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Tommy in Nashville. Tommy, you're on with Cover 2.
Thanks, guys. I respectfully kind of disagree with you about Borgonzi. I think he made a huge mistake in the last few days. The Titans are one of the worst teams I've seen in a long, long time. We need to do a complete yard sale. The only person on that team that should be safe was Cam. I mean, we had a Big Jeff, maybe not nearly as good as Big Jeff, but a pretty good defensive tackle before Big Jeff got drafted. And he went to the Broncos. I forgot his name. And he was pretty good. Yeah. And so I understand Big Jeff is a dog, and he's really good, but we're really bad. And I thought he could have done a lot more. He should have traded Tony Pollard, in my opinion. Spears is our most dynamic player, except maybe DK, and he needs to be on the field more. And I think they tried some of it this last weekend by putting Pollard and Spears together out there. But I just think that he made a big mistake when he had a chance to get some more draft capital, and he let the deadline pass and didn't do near enough. I'll hang up and listen.
Tommy, before you go, don't hang up. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, so would you have traded a 6th round pick would you have agreed to trade Tony Pollard for a 6th round pick?
No, absolutely not.
Well,
now,
that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know what the offers were.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm kind of thinking that there would have been a better offer than a 6th round pick for Tony Pollard. If I was on another team, I would give more than a 6th round pick. But you're right. I think I'm kind of thinking that maybe he got some offers better than stuff like that.
I'm trying. Thanks, Tommy. Here's the thing. I'm trying to find the tweet of someone tweeted out all the running backs that were on the trade block, and none of them moved.
So Jeremy Fowler and
that's just one example to many of his question. But that's my point is we don't know. You have the quote from Jeremy Fowler here, but we have to assume that what they were getting in return was not worth the thing. And that's the thing is like, sure, I'm with Tommy. If you have a 5th round pick or a 4th round pick on the table for Tony Pollard, you better trade it. If you had a 4th round pick and a 5th round pick similar to what Rashid Shaheed has, who is a younger quarterback or wide receiver on a 1-year contract, and you had that offer for Calvin Ridley, sure, you should have done it. I just don't think that other teams covet these Titans players as much as fans think they're worth.
So to that point, Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano put out their trade deadline recap article this morning. And the one thing they said about the Titans is that they did have interest from some of their offensive playmakers, such as Chig Okonkwo and Calvin Ridley. However, they didn't feel like it was necessary to engage in day 3 pick swaps to get rid of some of those offensive playmakers that are essential to the development of Cam Ward. And that makes me think that they weren't getting the value that, like you said, that some of these Titans fans are putting on some of their players that were on the trade block. And Mike Borgonzi and the rest of the Titans front office felt that they were better served remaining on the team, remaining on the offense, and supporting your rookie quarterback's development rather than getting an extra 6th-round pick or an extra 7th-round pick or swapping, a 5th for a 6th, which makes sense because their whole plan for this year was to develop Cam Ward and get Cam Ward to a position where he could be the face of the franchise. And it's kind of hard to do that if you trade away all of his playmakers when he already doesn't have a ton.
Yeah, I wish I could find that tweet. It's a really good tweet. I should have bookmarked it when I had the chance.
You're talking about all the running backs?
Yeah.
So he had that in the article.
That was the article?
Yeah, it was the article. So this is what he said.
That's what it was.
Fowler said, I figured some combination of Breece Hall, Jerome Ford, Tony Pollard, Jalen Wright, or Keaton Mitchell had a chance to land new homes. None of them moved.
And I think that's because, I get that more 6th-round picks is better than less 6th-round picks. But not all draft ammo is as valuable as what these guys are. And let me say, and again, we don't know if they're going to be here or not. If I had to guess, they probably aren't. But Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley are still under contract. Arden Key could add to the compensatory pick formula where you don't have to worry about, maybe you got a 6th and a 7th pick, but you also traded away Draymond Jones. So then you're left with like 3 healthy edge rushers. That's probably not worth it to this team right now. So at the same time, I'm all for team get more picks, but you also shouldn't just fire sell them. And I think that's the thing that the media was trying to tell everybody. It was like, this team's not in a fire sale, but this team is open for business. And there's 2 different things. And I do agree with Tommy. If it came to find out that Jeremy Fowler or one of these guys reports that, hey, some silly team offered a 4th-round pick for Tony Pollard, and they didn't take it, I'm all board. But if it was just another 6th, 7th-round pick swap, Tony Pollard is more important to the development of Cam Ward because he's reliable. I love Tyjae Spears. I was a big Tyjae Spears guy before in the pre-draft process. I wanted the Titans to draft him. I thought he would be excellent, but I have to say the medicals were right to be concerning, and he can't stay healthy. And you want to give him 20 carries a game when Tony Pollard leaves? That's probably not the wisest move. But if you got a 4th-round pick, 5th-round pick for Tony Pollard, and you didn't have to give up anything in trade besides Tony Pollard, I'm all in. Like, you ain't. But both those guys, Pollard and Ridley, still have this year and next year left on their contract, and that's some other team's issue after that. But that means that you're likely not going to get a lot of draft capital for them in return.
You also just need there has to be some level of continuity for your team and for your rookie quarterback. Like, and I'm not saying this was the wrong decision, by the way, but he's already lost his head coach, early into his career. He's had multiple different linemen play in front of him already quicker than you would expect. If you let go of a guy like Tony Pollard or a guy like Calvin Ridley at this point, who are 2, fairly reliable weapons for him as a young quarterback, that can damage him a lot because you don't want to get into this cycle where he's going through with different guys all the time. Like, at some point, that is going to greatly stunt his growth.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Ross, do you mind if we listen to a little bit from Borgonzi?
I don't.
Ross, can we go to cut number 9? This is Borgonzi talking about if any of the injuries that the Titans have sustained so far this year played into their lack of trades, plus the need to balance draft capital with still fielding a competitive team for the rest of the year.
No. We look at everything and the value of it and who's valuable for the team right now. And there's some guys who are on expiring deals this year that still have 8 games here to evaluate, and they've done some good things. Yeah.
I guess maybe to follow. Yeah, just to follow on that, I guess how much do you balance, as you said, building for the future, but you still want to field a somewhat competitive team?
Sure, there's balance there. We have 8 games left. And, if we thought there was a value there, like I said, we talked to 31 other teams. I'm not going to get into every discussion we had. And, a lot of teams have called us, obviously. We weren't looking to acquire players at this point. It's more for draft capital for the future. But, yeah, that all comes into play.
Did it feel good to call for audio from someone else?
Yes.
I should have punched you square in the face, honestly. But
Hey,
I
he's
can't.
co-host.
I can't play it from
He's
in here.
co-host. He's got to be able to do it.
you telling me to play audio, no, that ain't flying. Enjoy it. That was your one time. But
Well, how else am I supposed to play it if I want to hear it? I can't. I don't have the computer in front of
enjoy
me.
it? Hey, also real quick, did y'all see Drew Brees is replacing Mark Sanchez in the booth with Adam Amin?
Oh my!
Pretty cool.
God,
Well,
Drew
you don't
Brees
like
is
that?
terrible.
It's hard to call games when you're in jail, though. So
Yeah, that's true. But oh my God, Drew Brees is one of the most boring. Y'all not remember when Drew Brees was calling games or an analyst or whatever he was? NBC didn't. Shortly after he retired, he was calling games.
I thought he was just on the pregame show.
Well, even that was terrible. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's learned something. We'll see. But yeah, that to my larger point, you still have to field a team. But what they're saying is that they're open for business. The Quinnen Williams trade, I personally probably would have done it for Big Jeff. I'll be honest, I probably would have done it. But I think that Mike Borgonzi's reasoning was very sound, and it made sense on why not to trade him. And we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, because that's a really longer explanation, and it kind of ties into Jarvis Brownlee Jr. and everything, and I kind of want to get to both at the same time. But I understand at least why they're not doing it. If that offer had been on the table, me personally would have done it. And I'm sure based on Tommy's conversation, he would have done it. I don't know. Would you guys have done it? If it's the same trade as the Quinnen Williams trade, and you got first round next year, second round this year, and Motsy Smith,
probably,
most likely, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't know if they got that offer or not, but let's say that they did. I would have done it too, but I at least understand why they didn't. And I think Kevin Dyson kind of echoed the same thing in our conversation yesterday about this, because I was giving him an anxiety attack talking about Jeffrey Simmons getting traded, and he kind of said the same thing Mike Borgonzi did. But everything, it can't just be giving away stuff for scraps. Like Jarrell Casey going for a 7th round pick to, I believe his 7th round pick to Denver Broncos made sense because Jarrell Casey didn't do anything after that. And I love some Jarrell Casey.
And then he retired very shortly after that.
He was easily the best player, but that was a guy that was definitely near the end of his NFL career.
Yeah, Jeffrey Simmons is 28 in the middle of his prime right now.
Right.
I mean, before he got hurt, he was the best defensive tackle.
That's not what they were offering. Is not nothing. Let's be clear about that. That was not nothing. That was something, and that's something to consider. And obviously, if they were offered that, they considered it, and they said, "Hey, we only have so much concrete to pour on this foundation, and that's one of our concrete bags that we need." I understand it. I don't agree with it, but at least I understand it.
I don't think any of us are tripping out about them not moving Jeff. You know what I mean, Joseph? I mean, no one's freaking out that they didn't trade Jeff. It's like if you get the right offer, it's understandable and would probably be the right thing to do. But I'm very glad we still have Jeff at the same time.
I am happy that we have Calvin Ridley, Arden Key, Tony Pollard, and Tavondre Sweat and Big Jeff on this team right now.
But at the same time, if they had been moved,
I would have been fine.
Depending on the value.
6th round picks, not really.
Yeah,
Except for maybe Arden Key.
Borgonzi said, and we'll probably hear it later when we play it, but called Big Jeff a pillar for this team.
Yeah.
If someone's that important to the future of the franchise, it's kind of hard to move off of him.
I mean, it looked like he had he was out there on the balcony. Big Jeff's up on the balcony. He's trying to woo him. He's got his flowers in one hand.
The jukebox or the boombox.
He's got the Say Anything jukebox. That's a better one. He's got the Say Anything jukebox above his
Careless
head.
Whisper or whatever the song is.
Playing that and just, I mean, it was some sweet romantic stuff. It was like you understood that the rumors that were out 3 weeks ago saying that they are not really considering trading Jeffrey Simmons, you could see by the way that he said it, what he said, that is true.
And this is not just from Borgonzi. You heard that from Brian Callahan when he was still here. You've heard that from Denard Wilson. You've heard that from Mike McCoy
and
since he's taken over.
Anybody would say that about a player of Jeffrey Simmons' ilk, but also I'm sure we probably could go find clips of Aaron Glenn and Darren Mogi say the same thing about both, Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams. Until the offer comes correct, you're not entertaining offers. And obviously the offer of what
If it was offered, yes.
If it was offered, was not enough value for where Jeffrey Simmons is in his career, what he means for this team, what he means for the future of this team, and what he means for this community enough to trade him. And I'm okay with that, even if I don't agree with it.
I mean, these guys can still help right the ship with this team. I don't want to say, we're making the playoffs next year or anything, because I highly doubt that and don't expect it. But if you have a good draft and a good free agency class, we got a lot of money to spend. You keep these guys on the team, you can get back to competitive football. You know what I mean? You can play against any team in the league.
Okay, we're gonna end this. We're gonna end this segment on this. My mom just texted me.
Oh no!
And she said, "Hey, that kid next to you looks like Elf on the Shelf." Just saying. All right, that will do it for us. This is cover 2 with
the
Blaine
show's
Bishop.
over. Good Lord.
That's the best way to end it. That'll do it for us this segment. When we come back, we'll talk more about Mike Borgonzi's press conference and everything. It's cover 2 with Zach Lyons and Elf on the Shelf here on 104.5 The Zone.
There are a lot of things Americans split 50-50 on. Politics, working from home versus the office, coffee versus tea, burger versus hot dogs. No, that's not a competition. But there's one thing we all agree on. Taking your car in for repairs can be complicated. Your repair is only as good as the person under the hood. And most of the problems in fixing your vehicle is the knowledge and in the issues of understanding what is actually really going on under the hood and trying to see if they're ripping you off. And a lot of techs are not properly trained. So they end up guessing what to do, and that causes delays in getting your vehicle back or repeat visits for the same issue. For around a quarter of a century, Eurofix has done things differently. Every visit starts with a free 15-minute no-rinse inspection, so you know what's going on before you start the work. And at Eurofix, they pay their technicians more than any other company does to attract the best and the brightest talent. And Eurofix still fixes European vehicles at below dealer pricing with a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all work at Eurofix that they perform. And rental cars are available with all locations, located all over the place, family run with 5 locations. And all you have to do is just give them a call and book now at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. I think my tweet got a little misconstrued because I think people think that I'm talking about, has Mike Borgonzi earned you trust in him? No, has Mike Borgonzi earned back your trust in that the Titans know what they're doing going forward? So because he is the guy that should be making all the decisions on football going forward. In fact, let's hear from Mike Borgonzi on what the exact roles are for him and Chad Brinker.
It's a good question, and it's a fair question. And with Chad, I can go back to when we were in Kansas City. There was a few of us that were on that staff there that ended up being 2-14. I think that 2012 year. It was myself, Ryan Poles, Brant Tillis. Ryan Poles is a GM now. It's Bears. I'm here. Brent Tillis is a VP of operations with the Carolina Panthers. So what I'm trying to say is that, like, even though there's, we were losing at the time, there's still really good people in the organization. I get the question. I do. And Chad is invaluable to me. Chad hired me, Amy hired me to really construct the roster. That's what they hired me for. And they empowered me to do that. And what Chad does is, he has knowledge in scouting. He's got knowledge in the salary cap, strategy. Chad is really smart. And Chad supports me with all the decisions that I make. And it's no different in every other organization. You can say the titles and who's above who. It's the same structure in every organization. You got the GM, you have your, VP of strategy, cap, and then you get the head coach. And whatever title you want to give them, those are the three people that work together to make decisions. And there's no one person that, like, if he's got the 53, this, like, I'm going to go rogue and just make a pick. But they empowered me to make those decisions here, to draft players, to sign players, to construct the roster. So fair question. I get it, Jared. But just to give you a little insight on that.
Yeah, I mean, we got clarity because that's been the big question. We'll also talk about his role and power in the head coaching search because I thought he said some things in that too that was very interesting. But at the end of the day, I kind of got this feeling yesterday, and I know we've been told by the sparrows of the front office, the local media sparrows of the front office. This is Mike Borgonzi's roster. These are Mike Borgonzi's decisions. But I think we all have earned, I think this front office has earned a healthy amount of skepticism that anything they say is true. When Chad Brinker is involved, and Chad Brinker couldn't get away from these press conferences when he's always overshadowing and looming large over Mike Borgonzi. How are we supposed to believe that? But I do think when you hear him speak and hear him give details of the stuff that he went through at Kansas City and where they're at now, saying, hey, I understand. Great question. I understand that Chad Brinker has been here for every losing season. I also was there at Kansas City for every losing season. Now, he only brought up 2019, but he was there 2009 for a 4-12 season. They rebounded in 2010 for a 10-6 season. Then he was there for a 7-9 season and a 2-14 season before the 11-5 season with Andy Reid hired. So, yeah, he's been there for it all. And he hasn't lost faith in his ability to build a team. A lot of the fans that have weighed in on this haven't lost their faith in his ability to build a team. So it's like, we get it. Good players like Jeffrey Simmons can be part of losing seasons, just like execs can be part of losing seasons, even though they may be good execs. And right now, he pretty much tells you, kind of sounds like Chad Brinker is a glorified accountant when it comes to free agency and the draft. But that's fine. I'm good with that. He can go handle all the other stuff whatever he does in football operations. I'm fine. Mike Borgonzi's the guy for me.
Yeah. he opened up his press conference talking about how, hey, I know it sucks to lose, right? Like there's this negative feeling from fans and the media about this losing season. Yeah, it's because we're losing. But there are some good things we're doing here. The rookie class has worked out so far and has looked good. You have a quarterback who has shown some flashes, and although he's not perfect yet because he's a rookie quarterback on a team that drafted first overall,
that was a great answer.
Yes, yes, it was. He's continuing to grow. And so it made me personally, and I'm not sure if everyone feels like this, but a guy who has seen both sides of a franchise, when they're down in the dumps and when they're up at the top of on top of the mountain. And the fact that he could come out there and for once, I really think this is the first time this season that someone has come out there and just given people a clear path and a concise answer on why they're doing the things they're doing. That's what builds confidence in the front office to do these things, is when they can explain themselves. And I felt like today, Mike Borgonzi explained himself and his vision for the Titans better than anyone has so far.
To your point, you talk about he's seen both sides of the coin. Chad Brinker has not. He's been with the Packers, and when he was from the Packers from 2009 to 2023, he's only seen 3 losing seasons: a 7-9, 6-9-1, and 8-9. None of those are a 2-14 season, right? Like none of those are that. And you can say that most of those seasons are when Aaron Rodgers got injured, right? Like he's never been through this mess before, besides last year. But obviously, he's never been through this mess before, quite like what we've seen with Mike Borgonzi. And so when he puts that into perspective like that and talks about his time at Kansas City and talks about those, he only talked about 1 year, but you can count the 3 prior years, you can kind of start making sense of what he's trying to do here. Again, you may not agree with all the moves that he has made. You may not have felt that he's gotten value out of all the moves he's made, but he's been very clear of the players that he's looking for, what he's looking for from a Titans perspective, what he's looking for and what he's been through. And he is doing, I liken it to an exorcism, because this team needs an exorcism. I think it has a curse since Steve McNair got locked out of the building. It needs an exorcism. It needs a complete demolition. Now, do I wish Jarvis Brownlee Jr. was on the other side? Heck yeah. Do I buy that this idea that he doesn't fit exactly what they want? Yes and no. At the end of the day, I feel like the coaches should probably have gotten a little bit more say on some of these younger players, and some of these younger players for next staff, see what they can do with them. Because I think he used the word accountability a lot, and it just reminds me of everybody in media overblowing the fact that he's like, well, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm just going to have to deal with these penalties in a different manner, but I'm not going to change who I am. And I feel like that falls in his accountability bucket, just like it fell in media's accountability bucket, and that's why he's gone.
Yeah, I wish they would have given Jarvis Brownlee Jr. the same treatment they gave Tavondre Sweat. So in that Albert Breer article from last week, he said that the Titans are hoping that the next coaching staff can reach him. Take that however you will, because we saw some conflicting reports with that come out yesterday when they didn't trade him. But I really wish that they would have stuck with him to see if the next coaching staff could reach him. Not necessarily that he was disinterested in football, but maybe say, okay, man, hey, maybe we should take this thing at a different perspective, and you come and attack your work differently than you're used to, and see if we can get on a page where it's successful for both us and you. But either way, I really do think that the fact that Mike Borgonzi knows what he wants and he knows how he wants to build this roster, and it's going to take time. I mean, you can't just draft everybody in one draft. Perfect. And it's not going to be perfect. He's going to make some misses, and it'll probably be the misses will probably look bigger than the hits because of what this franchise has done in the past decade. But it's got to take time, and people have got to be patient.
Just real quick before we go, I want to ask you all a question. I just want a one-word answer. No explanation, just one word. Keep it pretty and concise. If I told you after today, Mike Borgonzi is the one who made the decision to trade Jarvis Brownlee Jr., buy or sell?
I buy it.
Yeah, I'll buy it.
All right, interesting.
Maybe we'll talk more about that when we come back, because we're going to talk about more about Jarvis Brownlee Jr., how that relates to what Mike Borgonzi is trying to build, and what he said about Jeffrey Simmons when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Ross Johnston. In NFL news, there were a few key players across the league who did not practice today. Buccaneers running back Bucky Irving and receiver Chris Godwin, Bills running back James Cook, and Patriots wide receiver Kayshon Boutte, plus running back Ramondre Stevenson. The Carolina Panthers are hosting free agent corner Asante Samuel Jr. on a visit today. Samuel just got cleared to play after receiving a spinal fusion in the offseason and is one of the top corners available on the market. Commanders linebacker Frankie Louvu was suspended one game for a hip drop tackle against Seattle, but had that overturned via appeal, which will make him eligible to play this weekend. He will instead have to pay a $100,000 fine. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. Blaine Bishop is on vacation during this bye week, so I'm stuck with Joseph Elf Bonanno over here.
All right, I already got called a Canadian all last week. I know it's Christmas time. I do not need to be called an elf.
No, it's definitely not Christmas time, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. I think people who put out Christmas lights and Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving, like, give me a break. That's what the day after Thanksgiving, that weekend is all for. Put out your Christmas decorations in.
I'd be okay with never putting up Christmas decorations.
I'm with you. I'm way okay with not putting up anything.
Who on the Titans do you think has Christmas lights up already?
Chad Brinker. Definitely. I would say Will Levis, but he's got hurt shoulders, so he probably couldn't put stuff up.
Isn't he in LA right now?
Oh, I don't know. But either way, I would definitely not be having Christmas decorations up. As long as I am in control now. I'm married, so I'm not in control. But right now, no Christmas decorations. We haven't even put our Halloween decorations in a box yet.
I'll do a simple tree. I don't need too many. I don't need a million ornaments on it. I don't need the fake snow on it.
Yeah.
Give me a tree, some lights, and
there we go. I like the trees with the lights already on them.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, you don't have to string it up yourself.
Does anything outside signal that it's Christmas time right now? No, it doesn't.
Definitely.
So get those lights down.
All right. Let's talk about Mike Borgonzi, and let's talk about the Mike Borgonzi on Jarvis Brownlee Jr. not fitting the culture in Tennessee. That would be, and Ross is, of course, on the phone as soon as I call for audio.
It's cut number 2, Ross.
Yeah, it's cut number 2. Can we get cut number 2, Ross? Man.
Wow.
Well, anyway, I get what he's trying to say in this clip that you guys will hear for yourself. Number 2, clip
sorry,
number 2.
What do you want?
Clip number 2.
Caller was very loud in my ear right there, so sorry about that.
But clip number 2, Mike Borgonzi on Brownlee not fitting the culture in Tennessee.
Well, I think I touched on just the accountability piece, attention to detail. The willingness to get better every day, and so I don't want to specifically, touch on that because Jarvis is a great kid, and I wish nothing but success for him.
When you say that there are some times that you can't teach that culture with the program you have now,
that's hard to explain sometimes with the culture in the locker room. When you have a standard in the locker room at some point, when you're winning a lot of games, when you bring a player in, they know exactly what they need to do, or they know they won't be there very long. There's a standard there. So we're trying to create a standard. And sometimes that's hard to articulate to people and the fans, but when you're in a locker room, you feel it. And when you're around a winning team, you feel it. I certainly felt it in Kansas City. Every person that we brought in there, they knew right away, if Pat and Kelsey were out there practicing every day hard, I better be out there practicing every day hard. So we need to create that standard here, and we do have some pieces here.
Yeah, I do think that there was some stuff in there that is pretty telling. Like, you're not trying to talk bad about Jarvis, but you kind of talk bad about Jarvis. Can I just say that? I mean, like, you're basically saying that he's not accountable and he has no attention to detail. I'm just calling it like it is.
And he doesn't come into work to get better.
And I
that's
get
what
that
I heard.
I get that that's all. And because he even talked about, you know, the standard of practices and all that kind of stuff. And listen, I've been out practice. Jarvis Brownlee Jr. does not have a problem at practice. He doesn't have a problem when the game starts. Now, accountability and attention to detail feels a lot like we're really too focused on penalties. And he hasn't had a penalty for the Titans or the Jets since week number 1. Just want to throw that out there.
Because it also sounds to me like they're saying locker room problem is what I get. Do y'all get that too?
I don't get that is locker room problem. I get that is culture fit problem. And I know that's probably splitting hairs to what you're saying.
Yeah.
But they're trying to get people that are somewhat accountable and have attention to detail. I would say that I think that Jarvis Brownlee Jr., I think using that to describe Jarvis Brownlee Jr. is a little bit of a scapegoatism. It feels like I don't know if I can use those words to really describe Jarvis Brownlee Jr. based on that the coaches loved him. And the coaches are the ones that experience his accountability and attention to detail more than the people in the front office.
See, that's my thing is like, when he got traded, wasn't on a Tuesday, I believe, because the players spoke in the locker room like the day after or a couple days after. It was early in the week. All of them were shocked. None of them gave any sense like they were happy about it. They were all pretty devastated about it. I remembered, I think James Williams and somebody else said they were pretty upset and, you know, just talking about how that's the business of the NFL. But if this dude was really, you know, having some problems in the locker room or, you know, not being willing to adapt to picking up a lot of penalties, somebody body language or whatever through their words would have said something to verify that, I believe.
I almost wonder if this is my speculation, not informed, just from the outside looking in. Sometimes stuff happens to send a message. And I almost wonder if this isn't a send the message kind of deal. Now, I wish you could have sent a message with someone of lesser ilk, you know, like that. But this almost feels like, hey, this is what we're looking for. And in a losing season, if you're not going to be accountable and you're hurting us more than you're helping us, which I personally don't think is the case, but I think they think that's the case, then you're gone. You're out of here.
So you're saying this kind of feels like maybe they're making an example out of the Jarvis Brownlee Jr.
That's what it kind of feels like to me when we see everything. When we start adding everything together, that's what I see. I don't agree with it.
No,
so,
I'm not,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't agree with that, but I feel, and I think that's not a great way to approach this, but that's what it kind of feels like to me.
Well, clearly it ain't working. Like, how many offensive line penalties have we had this year, or illegal formation penalties? Are those guys still on the team? Of course they're still on the team.
Right.
Well, if you want to make an example out of penalties, why are they still on the team?
Yeah, I think that they're using the penalty thing as a crutch a little too much.
And half of those were horrible calls in week 1, too.
Yeah. The other thing is, like, does every player in your locker room have to fit the culture to a T, all 53, and then the practice squad? Do they have to fit your culture to a T every time, at every point? No, because then your team's going to be boring. And your team's going to be...
I will say, I do, to play devil's advocate here to what you're saying, if you're starting fresh with a new culture, maybe yes.
I get what you're saying, though, Joseph. Like, I don't think every person naturally fits into the culture of a team, just like based on who they are as a person. But if you have that culture set, it's easy to fall in line.
So this is more of an indictment on the fact that
it's more of the indictment of the state of the roster and the culture that's already there. And you know, I don't know Jarvis Brownlee Jr. personally, but I know I know a lot about Aaron Glenn. And I know Aaron Glenn knows a dog when he sees them in 10 minutes is what he says and what other people have said. And he has made it work with lesser culture fits. And like, you know, Jay Gardner Johnson, who's just like roaming around and all those guys, like he's made it work. I think some of this could be viewed as an indictment of Brian Callahan's ability and the locker room's infancy in building this new culture.
Which I think is the root of this of the Titans problem they've had since, 2023, after they went on that 7-game losing streak. That's kind of where the fractures, I guess, in the culture within this organization are really started. And then once you fired Mike Vrabel and you moved on from him and got a new coaching staff in here, it never really got pieced back together correctly. It was more of like a tape job, I feel like.
Yeah.
And now what I think Borgonzi is doing is I think he's coming in here and he's like, okay, we're not satisfied with the tape job. They're tearing the tape down and they're building this thing from ground zero.
And listen, losing brings out the worst in people. And maybe he was saying stuff or doing stuff in the locker room. All I know is that the Titans side were the ones calling around. And I know that Denard Wilson loved him some Jarvis Brownlee Jr. And Mike Borgonzi even said today, he said it, I don't know if we have that clip. Yeah. Clip number 5, Mike Borgonzi and how Denard Wilson has handled all of the defensive trades. Because this also goes into the power of Mike Borgonzi.
Denard is a hell of a coach. And I have conversations with Denard all the time. And, before we made these trades, it's not like we make these trades and don't have conversations. And he, is he going to agree on all the trades? No. But I think at the end of the day, he understands it. And he understands that, he has a job to do. But, you say you got a job to do, that's your responsibility to do the job. But, his willingness to still do the job is why he's a good coach.
You look at Jeffrey Simmons, like you mentioned him as a top player, and you look at what Denard has been able to do, and then you trade away Draymond Jones.
Mm-hmm.
What does it say what Denard has been able to do in the last few games without Simmons, and what's left of your outside linebackers group?
Yeah, no, he's done a tremendous job. He's a great coach. We had 6 sacks last week, and we have Arden coming back here, hopefully here after the bye. So having Arden back and eventually we'll get Jeff here back. We'll see how he looks here after the bye. But tremendous job the whole staff has, really. Tony Oden, his willingness to work with younger corners and guys that we claimed off the waiver wire, because of losing guys from trades and injuries with Snead. So it's been difficult for them, but like I said, they come in here every day, and their willingness to work and try to get these guys better has been impressive. Because like I said, I've been in other situations before where you're losing, the culture in the building's bad, but I don't feel that here. I don't.
All right, so really, to be honest with you, that was the perfect answer. Hey, not every coach is going to handle head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams, is going to love every trade. But it is pretty clear that Mike Borgonzi made this decision, and I know that I don't think Denard Wilson was approved of it. Because who would be? Because all he does is praise Jarvis Brownlee Jr. for the last 2 season and a half. And again, I will say that I don't necessarily agree, but at least I understand their reasoning and behind the process. Even if I think it's a bad process, I understand it. And I'd much rather do that than be sitting here not understanding why they did it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
It's the most clarity you've gotten on this type of situation in a long time.
Forever.
Well, real quick, rapid reactions in the chat referenced Jarvis saying, I'm not changing the way I play after that Denver game.
That's the accountability portion.
To me, that's why you keep a guy like Jarvis Brownlee. I think Blaine essentially said the same thing, is he is a dog. He plays like a dog. Like you said, Zach, he has not picked up penalties since he got traded, since that Denver game.
I think he's a dog on the wrong Titans team.
Yeah, but we need more guys like that, and I think at the time, and still to a degree now, is why so many of us were frustrated about the trade. It's like you've got a dude who's a dog, who is a competitor, and you just let him go for virtually nothing.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I also agree with the fact that I just think that Jarvis Brownlee Jr. was the wrong Titan at the wrong time. And I think that if he may have been on the roster that we'll see, hopefully, in 2 years, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think he's a victim of circumstance, and I think that sucks. I think that's not the way to do it. but that's the way that they're doing it and building it. And at least I can understand that process. And I guess I've chilled and cooled on it after hearing Mike Borgonzi speak, even though I don't agree with it. And I still think they didn't get good value about it. I think they went about the process the whole wrong way. But at least I understand it.
He's a guy that comes in and supplements a culture that is already there, not a guy that you're going to build a culture around. At least not right now. When
I still think they should have kept him. I still think that he should be here. I still think he should have been the next coaching staff's decision.
100%.
And I think you're better with him than without him. And that's why I still have a hard time buying into all this. And that's why I think that they are leaning into the accountability portion a little too much for my liking. But I also go and say Brian Callahan kind of didn't show accountability in his press conferences, and he's also gone.
Listen, if you're going to do it with Sweat, I think you should have given Brownlee the same opportunity.
I think if Brownlee had less penalties than Sweat. And again, I know that's a lame excuse, everybody. I agree it is a lame excuse. But I think if Brownlee had less game-killing penalties than Sweat, game-changing penalties than Sweat, and he didn't have all that on tape last year, he'd probably still be here. I really do think it really just comes down to penalties, and that's a stupid, stupid reason for it to come down to. But I think that's what the reason is.
I think Jalen Arbor-Davis is just getting to me at this point. That's what I think it is with me personally.
Yeah.
I'm just frustrated.
Yeah, it's frustrating. All right, when we come back, we'll go to Wayne and Keith. We'll take your phone call, 615-737-1045. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 1045 The Zone.
Parents, when your teen athletes get injured, every practice miss matters. So don't let an injury sideline you for the season or your dreams. Introducing the Edge Athlete Recovery Program, a 2-month, twice daily sublingual peptide protocol designed to help your athlete heal faster, recover stronger, and get back on the field safely. Our science-backed peptides, BPC 157 and TB 500, support muscle, tendon, and ligament repair with no needles, no downtime, and no hassle. Safe for teens, non-GMO, gluten-free, and easy to take home. Optional add-ons include M-Scope, functional sessions, and regenerative orthopedic treatments to accelerate recovery even more. So don't wait. Give your athlete the best shot at a full return to sports. All you have to do is just call Edge Peptide Therapy at 615-724-1878, or you can visit them at edgepeptide.com to schedule an office consultation today. Edge Peptide Therapy knows every game, every practice, and every dream matters.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Let's go to Wayne. Wayne, you're on with Cover 2.
How you doing, guys?
Doing good. How are you?
It's a great program, you guys.
Oh, appreciate it.
Thanks,
you know
Wayne.
what? The coach is dealing with what he's got to deal with, right?
Yep.
And we got a whole new team coming up here this coming year. Line your ass up on the front line. Let's see what you got. And you know what? If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. I'm a founder of the Titans founder. I believe in the Titans. And I believe we can have a winning team for a brand new dome stadium. And we got to go, boys. Line up and play ball. Thanks, guys, for listening to me.
No problem. I agree with Wayne. Like, I came out of this press conference thinking, I may not agree with everything that was said, but at least we have clarity. And I think that when you have clarity and you have a plan and you're sticking to that plan, more often than not, that plan works out. And with 2027 new stadium, you have to have a plan, and you have to have a plan that has a high chance of succeeding. And we've seen his plan work. We have seen that be the thing that most successful teams do. And that is building through the draft, building with players that fit your vision for this team, and not just spraying wildly money around and going to grab a Calvin Ridley because you need a wide receiver, or trading for L'Jarius Sneed because you need a cornerback. Not going crazy, but committing to the plan and committing to a rebuild, and that's what he's doing. And so I do feel better. And I think Stoney Keeley, for those that are football and other F words and Titans Talkback fans, he's been very down in the dumps. He says this team is hopeless, and I think Mike Borgonzi may have pulled him out into the light a little bit. Any thoughts? You're the co-host. You know you're supposed to have a conversation.
Sorry, Ross was asking me a question in my ear, and I'm trying to listen to two people at once. No, I think you're right. I think Mike Borgonzi he didn't clear away a storm, but he at least calmed it down. You know, we're not at a level 5 hurricane anymore, right? We're down to more of like a tropical. A little tropical storm, a little wind gust in Nashville. And now, whether or not his plan works, we all have to wait and see. That's the whole point of the plan. Is it's about patience and it's about long-term development and roster building. And you're not going to get it done in one draft. You're not going to get it done in 2 drafts. It's going to take at least 3 years to get to a point where I think they want to be. And that sucks because with a rookie quarterback, you really wish you could find your window while he's still on that rookie deal. But it doesn't always work out like that. I think Joe Burrow was a very special case when they made it to the Super Bowl in his 3rd year. When they got to the Super Bowl. It was his 2nd year when they got to the Super Bowl. That doesn't happen very often. So I really think we're on the right path under Mike Borgonzi. The Titans are on the right path under Mike Borgonzi.
But you still got to see it.
But you still got to see it play out.
He's got to hit, right? You hit on a few of your draft picks this time. You're going to have to hit on more draft picks, and you're going to have to be better in free agency. You weren't very good in free agency this last go-around. That's a fact.
And I don't think I genuinely don't think they tried to be good in free agency. I don't think they wanted to do the whole.
Now,
I'm not going to say try. I'm saying I don't think they wanted to do the whole big splash.
Right. They don't want to go spending.
Yes, they don't.
I get that, but even when you're spending $1 million, you want your $1 million investment to be good.
I mean,
they weren't paying $1 million for a bad player. With the intention of a bad player.
Draymond Jones worked out.
Yeah, but Kevin Zeitler has not. Cody Barton, mixed bag. I know that's hard to say coming off a pick 6, but he looks like he's running in cement shoes. Dan Moore, not very good. There's a lot that's going on in free agency that has not panned out. But, their intention is, we didn't want to spend big, but the money they spent on, they were expecting better players.
Yeah, didn't Borgonzi talk about what their plan for this upcoming free agency is?
He did, but we're going to go to Keith in Portland because I run the show. Keith, You're on with Cover 2.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Love the show. Love what you're doing. Love the insight. I had 2 points really quick I just wanted to make. One, Borgonzi's doing some cleanup around this JBL Jr. situation. I believe that's a carryover from the defense having to play a lot of minutes under Callahan, and possibly there was some discourse there between the two of them. Denard Wilson wants to back up JBL Jr. Callahan's not here. JBL Jr.'s not here. Second point, this is totally off the wall, but do you think there'll be any competition with Levis and Ward going into the next season? And again, appreciate your call. Looking forward to Titans football and where Borgonzi's going to take this team. Enjoy the show. Gentlemen, have a good day, and I'm going to hang up and listen to your answers.
All right, thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
No. I mean, there is no competition. Cam Ward is the number 1 overall pick. He is the quarterback of the future. I think it's clear that he has shown that he can at least be something. We don't know what level that something is, but he can be something. And the next head coach is coming with that in mind, because Mike Borgonzi just spent most of presser talking about Cam Ward, his development. They think he's on the right path. And the next guy is going to get more out of him than this staff can. And Will Levis may not even be on this team. I would love for Will Levis to be a backup. I think he could be a great, maybe as strong, but a better backup than Brandon Allen. But I would assume the next coaching staff is going to bring someone there that's familiar with their system to be the backup to Cam Ward.
Yeah, I would say probably one of the worst things you could do for Cam Ward's development is put him in a quarterback competition with someone who has not really proven that he could be successful in this league yet. And I don't think that they want to do this, because I think their whole plan is surrounded around Cam Ward and his development.
He doesn't need any, he's not that guy that needs that push.
No,
right?
He's got plenty of drive.
He's got plenty
100%.
of drive. He's got that, as Mike McCoy would say 15,000 times in a press conference, he's got that burning desire to be great. Those guys don't need a push. Those guys need to focus on them, work on their technique, be the best version of themselves that they could be. He doesn't need that push to reach the levels he needs. But they do need a competent backup. They do need a backup that has had success in this league, knows what success looks like, but also has experienced failure in this league, knows what that looks like, because the backup quarterback can do so much for a young quarterback.
Yeah, you need someone for him to lean on.
Pushing them.
Yeah, it's someone for Cam to lean on when things are like this year are down in the dumps.
Yeah, because he's leaning on Brandon Allen on the sidelines. Brandon Allen's the guy in his ear, showing him and diagnosing all this stuff. And maybe Brandon Allen is a great coach, but I would like someone that can actually do it, to be in the ear.
Why is Simeon just not the backup and Brandon's on the practice squad? It's not really a big deal, but that just doesn't make sense to me. Simeon's been someone who's had some success and some struggles in the NFL. Plenty of game experience. Oh, well.
Yeah. Oh, well. All right, let's go to Ethan and Dixon. Ethan, you're on with Cover 2.
Hey, guys. Hey, listen, I just wanted to give you my 2 cents on I feel like a lot of Titans fans right now don't trust Chad Brinker and Borgonzi because they're not really proven at this point. And you just said it a few minutes ago, man. Let's look at the free agency signings and how many of those have really help the Titans get to the next level. We spent a bunch of money on Dan Moore. We brought in Cody Barton, he just absolutely gets pushed around by the Colts a couple weeks ago. This guy's not a starting NFL linebacker, but yet he starts for the Titans. And then you look at the Jarvis Brownlee deal. So they went and brought in their guy, Jalen Armour Davis, and they trade Brownlee, who I think is a much better player, and now Armour Davis gets cooked week after week after week. So what do you think is going to be the future of the Titans when you're already seeing these picks and these free agent signings and these guys we're picking up off of waivers that aren't working out, and the players that I think are a little better, the Titans are trading away to other teams? It doesn't look like a bright future if you're asking me. Maybe I'm a glass half empty kind of guy, but not looking real good for the future. If you ask me, look at what they're doing right now. That's what you're going to see in the future, because that's not going to change.
I do think Ethan brings up some good points, right? Because we talked about we don't want. I guess he just hung up.
He hung up real quick.
But I get it, because I do think that Jalen Armour Davis has been atrocious. And I do think that obviously this team is better than Jarvis Brownlee Jr. But I also think that this draft class has been good. So let's see what Marcus Harris turns into, because maybe Marcus Harris is your Jarvis Brownlee Jr. replacement.
Yeah. Jalen Armour Davis is not their future. That is not their future solution at cornerback.
No,
let's make that very clear. He was brought in here off of a waiver signing, and because I guess they figured that they were going to make some cornerback trades, and needed some depth at that position, which ended up happening, and so he's kind of the next guy up. That is not. If that is their plan for the future, I mean...
No, their plan was, okay, let's see what this young guy's got and see if he can be.
If he can be, but we know
we already know now.
We know what the season is already.
Yeah.
And so let's... And whether you agree with the value or not, because I think most people don't, even I don't, with the value they got for Jarvis Brownlee Jr., they were willing to get something for him rather than, play the season and see how it turns out. Go ahead and get that draft capital, because that's how they want to build this team. They want to build it through the draft. They want to draft guys. They don't want to develop guys. He talked about having the youth movement in this roster. Unfortunately, Jarvis Brownlee Jr. wasn't the type of youth that they were looking for. And so we'll see what they do at that position going into the future.
It's an odd way to phrase it. All right, let's go to some audio clips here. I want to talk about Mike Borgonzi on his plan with free agency and how he plans to attack that.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting free agent meetings here in the early December, but we've been watching the free agents and building a board similar to a draft board with free agents in the league and trying to figure out their market value and trying to figure out our needs at the end of the season. So all that goes into it. Yeah, so, I mean, those discussions are going on right now, Paul.
How much can you do there realistically, given what reaches market at the prime positions where you need help?
Yeah, I mean, we can do, we have a lot of cap space. And like I said, we're going to have to... That's why it's hard when you have the philosophy. You have to stay disciplined to it too, Paul. And we use free agency really to... You have to fill the roster and you have to be competitive at the same time. But, in the future, we want to draft and develop these guys. But, there will be opportunities to... If we see a player that deems that is going to help us and we're thin at the position, we're going to attack it.
And there was a follow-up question here from Easton to Mike Borgonzi on if they can do both the draft and develop and free agency spending to build a roster. I don't really understand why this question was asked, because that's a weird thing to ask. Of course, that's how most teams do drafting and free agency and roster building. But I thought his answer, Mike Borgonzi's answer, was great.
Yeah, I mean, there's a balance to that, right? There is a balance because you have to see where the locker room's at, how many young players you have on your roster at the time. In my, I guess, experience, and listen, there's all different ways to build a team. I'm not knocking anyone else on how they build their team. It's just our philosophy. It's built through the draft, and there's going to be opportunities to supplement players when you feel you have to. But you certainly want it to be, having your roster consist of more younger players that are drafted to really build the culture you want.
That is a great example. And here's what he means by that. Kansas City's current roster, they've had 63 players on their roster filtering in and out on their active 53. Out of that 63 in 2025, 43 are homegrown players, either undrafted free agent rookies, either it's drafted players, which they still have 34 players on their roster that they drafted. They drafted 34 of their players that are contributing on this team. Only 20 free agents have been signed. In fact, those 20 free agents are all on one-year deals except for 5 of them. So 15 are on one-year deals, and most of them are practice squad guys. So they're not even big contributors or anything like that may played a few snaps. That's what he's trying to do here, and he just told us that. Yes, you could do both. They allocated $86.2 million in cash to free agents. Cash, not cap. Cash to free agents this year. The rest of their spending is all on their homegrown talent. This is what you are looking for in the future and for your Tennessee Titans team. It's going to take time, though. And they'll have to supplement more than 20 free agents for this coming year. But you hope that these other younger players, Peter Skoronski, J.C. Latham, Cedric Gray, and those guys included, not just the guys from last year, stick around. They find deals and find ways to use that money in future cap space and future cash to keep those players in-house.
Yeah, they definitely want to be in a spot where the number of free agents that they sign each year dwindles down year after year after year, where, okay, you're just bringing in one guy to fill maybe a depth position because you've drafted your entire starting roster. And obviously, you're not going to draft an entire starting roster, but you have a roster in place where you don't need to go make the big Calvin Ridley splash or the big L'Jarius Sneed trade in order to supplement this team and have a competitive team on the field.
And listen, Dan Moore, maybe Dan Moore, by the time that they get through this next draft class, Dan Moore is on his way out. You can draft a left tackle, and then you're starting that clock over. And listen, it does not change the fact that the Dan Moore contract is way overpaid. Jalen Moore was a 2-year, $30 million contract, and they have similar passing blocking snaps. So, 2-year, $30 million versus 4-year, $80 million, just saying. But at the end of the day, you look at this team and you look at Kansas City, 68.3% of that roster got its start in Kansas City. 43 players. That is massive for the team, and that's why they've shown consistency. That's why they've shown success. And to me, that's what you're looking for, and that's what Mike Borgonzi is trying to achieve. When you ask, well, I still don't understand Mike Borgonzi's vision, what draft develop retain is, that's what it means. Should Jarvis Brownlee Jr. have been a part of that? Sure, but maybe Chig is. Maybe Chig is a part of that. We'll see. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. In F&M Bank Chat, retired CSMSF says, stop comparing this team to Kansas City. We do not have Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes. But you have Mike Borgonzi who's trying to build the team like Kansas City, and that's the point. Because if you go back to what I said earlier, 43 players are homegrown talent contributing to the roster for the Kansas City Chiefs. 43. That's 68.3% of their roster. Tennessee Titans have 25 homegrown players contributing to their roster. That is 43%. That's a big difference, and that's what they're trying to correct. Like, that is what they're trying to correct. They're trying to get this roster in a better state. Think like Green Bay. This is actually, when you actually do the decibels, 41%.
So everybody that is upset that the John Robinson drafts, what was it, 2020 to 2022?
Yeah.
That those drafts miss on so many players. You can't cry about that and then say you don't want to compare this team to Kansas City, because Kansas City built their team through the draft. That's how they built this team. But you're crying because the Titans haven't built their team through the draft because they missed on so many picks within that very important 3-year span after a really good draft in 2019. They're trying to get back to that 2019 draft and make that a consistent thing year after year after year, because that's how you build a full roster and sustain a full roster that's going to compete for a lot more than just a division. You want to compete in the playoffs. You want to compete for the AFC Championship game. You want to compete for the Super Bowl. And to do that, you have to build through the draft. You can't just make a bunch of splashes and expect to sustain that over a long period of time. We're not looking for 1 year, one flash in the pan.
They're trying to build for sustained success. Exactly. Is what they've told us. And part of that is being able to have 43 homegrown players contribute on your roster instead of 25. It's being able to not have to spend a ton of money in free agency to get role players like the Tennessee Titans have done. They spend big-time money on role players. They spend big-time money on wide receiver twos. They spent big-time money on a cornerback with a knee injury. They spent big-time money on Dan Moore. And that was this particular regime's thing, but when you need a left tackle, you tend to get desperate, because we saw them do the same thing for a right tackle over at Kansas City, where they paid 4 years, $80 million for Juwan Taylor, who ain't that good either. Yeah, you get desperate where you just need someone that you hope can be league average.
Especially with a rookie quarterback coming in, they could not have thrown what they were throwing out there at left tackle and expected the quarterback to develop the way they wanted to. You couldn't put another Dennis Taylor, another Andre Dillard out there and really expect that Cam Ward was going to be able to develop in an offense with that in front of him. I mean, we're already complaining about what he has now. Can you imagine if it was worse?
Where else were you going to get a left tackle? Now, I don't agree with paying him all that money, but Dan Moore was probably your best option on the market. But that money is ridiculous.
It's kind of
where else are you going to get? And it's not really, don't give me the bull crap about said BS line. That's what the market dictates.
No, I was going to say that's kind of the we suck. I think Buck calls it the we suck tax that you got to have to pay.
That was quite the we suck tax, because I don't think anybody else was really going to be trying to go for him. But where else were you going to be able to get that left tackle?
Exactly.
Where at least you have proven evidence that there are times where he could be league average, even if he's not league average all the time.
He could be better if he's coached a little better, too, if you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. And from what we've discovered, yeah, probably Dan Moore, Bill Callahan wasn't a great.
Line, obviously, too, just needs more reps with each other.
Right.
More reps, everybody's healthy, just all 5 out there.
I'm just not going to hold my breath that Dan Moore is going to turn into anything. All right, last call for phone calls. Let's go out to David in Gallatin. David, you're on with Cover 2.
You kind of stole my thunder as an old offensive line coach. Hey, your number one guy is the quarterback, and they got to protect him. They're not going to be able to rebuild the whole thing in a year. So if nothing else happens for this coming draft, they need to trade back, get picks, get a left tackle. They need to put Latham At right guard, he's not a tackle. I think he could be a real good guard, but he's not a tackle. So, recently the quarterback Ward's been like, there was a game or two ago, he's sacked 6 times. 6 times. There's no way that you can judge his development if he's being sacked 6 times. So until they get the offensive line, which is the most important group on the team, until they get that squared away, they're whistling in the dark. Thanks so much.
No problem. Yeah, I mean, the offensive line plays a big role. I mean, Mike Borgonzi said it best. I don't know which clip it actually is, but I guess it's number 4 if you can get number 4 real quick. If it's not too long. If it's a long one, don't play it. Just tell me, and I'll just read out what he said. But here's what Mike Borgonzi said on how he thinks Cam Ward has looked in the first half of the season.
He looks like a rookie quarterback playing on, a team that had the number 1 pick last year, and he is he's developing, and he's developing with a lot of other rookies too as well, right? So we have 2 rookie wide receivers out there playing, Chim and Alec. We have Gunner playing out there. So they are learning together, and they're only going to be better because of it. And I have full confidence that Cam, because of his work ethic, because of his drive, that he will fix things that he needs to fix, just like every quarterback in this league, though. And I have full confidence that he's going to get there.
Couldn't have said it better myself, even though I already did say it like 13 times these last few weeks. But
like, if anybody thinks that there is any doubt in Cam Ward's ability to be the future of this franchise, you have not been paying attention, because not only players who are still here and leaving have said good things about him, but the front office, the coaching staff continues to rave about him, and he's continuing to grow. I mean, week by week, we see a little bit more from Cam Ward. And like I said, like Borgonzi said, he's a number 1 draft pick on a team with the number 1 draft pick.
Number 1 with a number 1 draft pick, losing team, young players.
And a fired head coach.
Which was always going to be the case, because history tells us that head coach was always going to be fired. That's why they should have fired him last year.
Perfect mix.
But this is a perfect mix. All right, that will do it for us. This has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. 3HL's up next, and producer Joe Spinano will be producing that show.
Got to get back in the behind the glass.
Get back to where you came from,
yeah,
where you belong. All right, that'll do it for us. And in the meantime,
in between time,
peace.